Goals increase your motivation, but you need the motivation to take steps toward your goals. This is a classic chicken and egg situation. Are you trying to be a better leader, change industries, reset after a layoff, or just looking for ways to bring your whole self to work? Well, you're in the right place. Hello and welcome to the Connect the Dots podcast, where I am focused on helping you through these situations and more by sharing real life stories and practical tips. I'm here to support you through coaching and mentorship, along with some amazing guests. Hello and welcome to Connect the Dots, Lead the Way. I'm your host, Heather Balcerek. I am a white female with short strawberry blonde hair. I am wearing tortoiseshell glasses and a gray t-shirt. I'm standing in front of a teal wall with multiple pieces of art displayed, and I have a bookcase over to my right. In today's episode, we are going to talk about why we should set goals. We're going to look at the history of the SMART goal. We're going to dive a little bit into motivation, and then we're going to refresh our way of thinking about SMART goals. I'm going to give you a little bit of the light bulb moment that I had a couple of weeks ago. So why should we set goals? Why are goals important? The Bard Center of Civil Engagement said that goal setting can be daunting, but can be the key when executing a project. And once accomplished, goal setting provides a place for reflection to identify areas for future growth or change. And while this is talking specifically about like goals at work, goals, you have goals in all parts of your life. And the part where it talks about it provides a place for reflection and to identify areas of future growth or change, I think that's the key part with a goal. Because you may not always hit your goal. Maybe you don't hit your goal in the time that you want to, or maybe you just don't hit the goal, whatever it is. It's that opportunity to look back and say, you know what? I could do it differently this time. I could do this a little bit differently. Or, that was a really good way to do that. I need to make sure I do that going forward when I do something similar. That's probably part of the goal setting process that we don't do enough of, is reflection. And so maybe we'll dive into that in the future, but let's stay right here, right now, as far as why goals are important and why we set goals. In this same article, they listed, why set goals, right? Because what can goal setting do? And so some of the things that they listed was it can add value to the work that you're doing. It can help disseminate the workload more evenly. It can allow you to assess your progress along the way, manage your time more effectively, which can diminish burnout or needless work. We talked about burnout in the mini-series just last week. So if you did not listen to that episode, I encourage you, when you get done with this one, go back and find that one. Because we really need to try to do anything that we can to diminish that burnout. Don't get to that point. But goals can, define success, give you clarity in that. They can demonstrate that your organization is going to provide manageable task. And last but not least on their list, which I think is so funny, but they will help you work smarter, not harder. Of all the things that could be in here, I thought it was so funny that they ended with work smarter, not harder. I say that probably a couple of times a week because it really is important. And the way that you work smarter, not harder, is when you are trying to get to a goal. If you have a setback or when you get done with the goal and you look back upon it, it's learning from those things. It's learning from what you might consider a failure. It's taking those and making them opportunities to get better. That's how goals help you work smarter, not harder. But the grandfather of them all is the SMART goal. Whenever you were probably taught how to write goals, you probably learned the SMART method. Probably. It's the one that's most prevalent in my life. And I had never looked up to see where did it come from? Who made it up? Any of that. But the that article from the Civil Engagement Group said that SMART goals were developed by George Duran, Arthur Miller, and James Cunningham in their 1981 article, There's a Smart Way to Write Management Goals and Objectives. And that article is older than me. So it's wise wisdom is what we'll say. But I think about, before I go into the acronym, because you're all probably going, okay, Heather, we know what SMART means, right? We're going to go over it though. When I think about the thing, like the title of this article, right? It's the smart way to write management goals and objectives. And I feel like while SMART goals are a great framework, let me not take that out of context. Like SMART goals are a great framework. I think it's funny how they started as management goals and objectives and how they've kind of trickled into everywhere else. And I don't know, I feel like there could be some tweaking and in like how we do these things. And we'll come back around to that at the end when I give you my light bulb moment that I had. But SMART, what does it stand for? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timely. You may have also heard it as the R being relevant versus realistic, and the T being time-bound versus timely. And I don't remember at what point I learned about SMART goals. I want to say it was probably early in my sales career, 2003, 2004, and we would have to write out our goals every month, and we'd review them with our manager, maybe, maybe not. But we had sheets, right? We had, I really remember this, and I wish I could find one and I would like link it out. Maybe I'll look for it. But we had sheets that said, right, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound. Like we would have to fill in these blanks every month on the different goals that we wanted to do. And as I moved up into leadership, I continued this practice of having people write SMART goals. Duh, because that's what you do, right? And if I look back, I'm pretty sure that one of the last trainings that I wrote just a year ago, probably talked about writing SMART goals there too. If you've never written a SMART goal, or if you've ever found SMART goal writing hard, because I'm going to raise my hand on that one. I hated writing SMART goals. They were daunting and difficult. They were terrible. Hated them. That's a strong word, but I did. Absolutely my least favorite thing I ever had to do was write SMART goals. And I've done a lot of them over the past 20 years. But let me give you an example of what a SMART goal might have looked like when I was in sales. So I sold cell phones, so I worked in the wireless industry, and one of our goals was always accessories, because that's where they make their money. So you had a goal to sell like three accessories to every phone, right? So your overall average. So maybe one person buys 5 accessories and one person just comes in and buys one accessory, right? It's the 6 over the 1. So that would be a 6.0 ratio. We're going to say that math is right. Just go with me. Okay. But like typically our goal would be like 3, right? A 3.0 accessory take rate. So when I would write out this SMART goal, specific, right? I want to sell so many accessories in order to attain a 3.0 accessory take rate. And so how this may look on the sheet, that was a terrible SMART goal. Let me, sorry, y'all. Like trying to think about this on the fly, but let's go. Okay. Specific. The specific goal that I wanted to do, right, is attain an accessory take rate of 3.0. Is that measurable? How am I going to measure that goal? I'm going to measure that by, taking the number of accessories I sell and dividing it by the number of phones that I sell. And I will confirm that with our metric tracker, KPI tracker thing that the system automatically does. Is this an attainable goal? Yes, this is an attainable goal. I've hit it before. I can hit it again. Is it a relevant goal? I'm going to go with relevant over realistic here. Is it relevant? Well, yeah, I was in sales. Duh. I needed to sell those accessories because it made me more money, made the company more money. And then was it time bound? Yep, because that was my goal for the month. So that's kind of what it would look like on a sheet. Typically we'd just fill in those boxes, talk about them with our manager. Are they good with it? Are they not? What can we do? And again, like I said, daunting. So daunting and so difficult. And just, I mean, if you've ever had to write SMART goals like that, it feels terrible. I mean, maybe I don't think I'm the only person. If I'm the only person, I mean, I guess let me know. But I don't think so. If you also did not like writing SMART goals, let me know, but stay with me, because I'm going to give you something at the end, my light bulb moment, that now, like, I'm all about some SMART goals. So stick with me. But before we get into this next part, I do want to pause and say thank you. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I hope that you're enjoying it so far. And if you are, could you take a quick moment and give it a rating or a review? Or if you've already done those things, could you share it with someone? I really would love to begin sharing reviews on the podcast. So if you would write me a little review, I will happily feature that on the upcoming episodes. So thank you in advance. Let's go into this next part and kind of flipping the script a little bit on the SMART goal. And so this is the first piece. This is like the light bulb moment for me. This is like the switch, like turned on, but the electrical current hadn't gotten to the light bulb yet. Okay. But I went through situational leadership too, which is a Balcerek course. I went through that a couple of weeks ago, and this is where these things started to like just blow my mind. And Balcerek, he changed a couple of the letters, like what the letters mean. And the first one they changed was M. So that was measurable, right? He changed it to motivating. And then he took the T and changed it from timely to trackable. And when I think about like the definition of a SMART goal before, like the example that I gave you of like trying to hit a certain accessory take rate number, that was not motivating at all. Like there was nothing about that goal that made me excited. Nothing about that made me want to go out and sell some accessories. So I'm on board with this change, Balcerek. Thank you. of changing measurable to motivating. And adding in this piece of motivation really helps keep you focused on attaining that goal. Then changing timely to trackable, that reinserts the measurable piece back into the word SMART. Because if something is trackable, that implies a timeline. It implies that there are milestones. There's something kind of keeping you on pace because you're having to track it. And I want to talk about motivation here for just a second, because motivation is definitely it's a big part of goals. And I found an article on BetterUp called How Motivation Helps in Achieving Goals. And it was written by Erin Ita. And she said, motivation is best described as the process that drives you to perform a task or behavior. It's that feeling where you feel compelled to complete your goal. And then there are two types of motivation that she writes about in the article. These are ones that we act on every single day. The first one is extrinsic motivation. And this refers to external factors that drive you toward the goal. And it could be a paycheck. It could be the fear of not getting a paycheck if you're in commission. It could be, a positive or a negative motivation, but it's something outside. She gives the example here of, think about like when you're a student, achieving a good grade is a positive motivator, and avoiding the failing grade is a negative one, right? You fear getting a low grade, so you're going to try to achieve a good grade. Intrinsic motivation, this focuses on the internal factors that encourage you. And so this might be something that you're passionate about, something you're trying to accomplish for your own benefit. And so think about this as like, you want to run a marathon, right? You want to accomplish that for your own benefit. I don't know of anybody most everybody I know that's run a marathon or run like long distances, including myself when I ran. But it was for my own benefit. It wasn't for anybody else. It wasn't, I wasn't, scared of somebody, like failing something or whatever. So for me, like running the 10K, right, that came from inside. That was an internal motivation. It was intrinsic. Goals also, they can, this is one of my favorite quotes from the article. I think it's fantastic. So she wrote, goals increase your motivation, but you need the motivation to take steps toward your goals. This is a classic chicken and egg situation. She's 100% correct. She talks about like it's hard to know which comes first because neither of them do. Right. Setting a goal, right? She said it may motivate you, but you might feel motivated to set the goal. And failing to achieve a goal has been proven to hinder your motivation and self-esteem. And setting and achieving realistic goals is crucial to keeping your brain motivated and focused. Oh, okay, man. It is kind of the chicken, the egg, like where's the ball under the cup kind of situation here. Both extrinsic and intrinsic motivation help you achieve your goals, right? They each have a specific role though. And so she says, external motivators are great for achieving short-term and long-term milestones. And you can reward yourself each time you reach like a fitness goal or you nail a presentation at work. Intrinsic motivators though, those are needed for those long-term commitments. It's, very, I think about running a marathon. That's I don't know why that's on my mind today. I'm not going to run another marathon. Oh, I didn't run a marathon. Sorry. Anyways, I digress. But so she says here, like external motivators, rewarding yourself each time you reach a fitness goal. And I think that's, if you think about running a marathon, maybe part of an external motivator would be getting that medal, like, especially if you run like an iconic one or something like the Boston Marathon or the New York City Marathon, the Chicago Marathon, right? Those are like pretty iconic races. And so like that's a reward. That's an external reward. But to get you there, you had to have that intrinsic motivator, that internal one, because that's a long-term commitment. Most people could not just pick up today and say, I'm going to go run a marathon, and off they go. That's a long-term commitment, getting there. So you've got to take both of these into account because they both serve a very specific role. I want to go. I want to talk a little bit more though about the chicken and the egg thing. My notes were out of order, so my apologies. When she said in here about that setting a goal might help motivate you, but you might feel motivated to set the goal, right? And then failing to achieve the goal has been proven to hinder your motivation and self-esteem. Absolutely. Like that can, man, it can knock you down if you are trying to hit a goal and you don't hit it. It can absolutely like set you back a little bit. It can maybe hit your self-esteem a little bit. The part about that though, is that if we go back to the very beginning of the podcast, when I talked about the reflection part where you grow and change, that's what happens then. That's how you get your motivation and your self-esteem back, is you look back and say, what could I have done differently? What else could make this easier when I do this the next time? And then from there, you set another goal. You set a realistic goal, right? You set small goals. You get that self-esteem, that motivation comes back, and it keeps you motivated and focused. So it is kind of this circle thing. You can't have one without the other. I don't want to get us completely off course here and diving into motivation, so I'm going to put a pin in it for right now. But I'll make sure that I talk through this a little bit more in an upcoming episode. So if you are not following or subscribed to the podcast at this time, please do so now. It's just a little follow button on Apple. It's a check mark on Spotify. If you're over there on the YouTube, you can hit the little subscribe button and the notification bell. Make sure you don't miss an episode. You can also subscribe to the newsletter. and that will get you the podcast right in your email every time it comes out. All right, back on track. Let's go. So the change of measurable to motivating and timely to trackable, that wasn't the main game changer. Like I said, that kind of like that flipped the switch, but the electrical current that made the light bulb go off. This is the game changer, is to think about SMART goals, but you want to reorder the letters and you want to make them STRAM goals. It doesn't quite roll off the tongue like SMART goals, but I want you to think about STRAM goals. And so there's an article from Balcerek, and oh my gosh, I think it was written in, there it is. I was like, did I close it? This was written in 2014. So this is an older article, but this is where this comes from. So I know it's been around for a long time. Where did I miss this? I missed this. Okay. From this Balcerek article, he writes, the leader should describe the specific goal and when and how often that it needs to be accomplished. And then the leader needs to make sure that goal is trackable, right? How will progress or performance be tracked or measured? So those are the first two things: specific, trackable. Those are the two things that you need. And there are two examples in this article that he gives. The first one is produce monthly financial reports. Is that a STRAM goal? Or at least the ST? Is that the ST part of the goal? No. So let's make this a little bit more specific and trackable. Submit accurate and timely financial reports on a bi-monthly basis for the next 12 months as measured by end user feedback. So that gives the S and the T, the specific and the trackable. So the specific here was submitting accurate and timely financial reports. And then the trackable part is we're going to submit them on a bi-monthly basis for the next 12 months. And then once you have those two things in place, the specific and the trackable, then the leader and the team member, or you and your manager, or you just in general if you're setting them for yourselves, this is when you review the three other elements: relevant, attainable, and motivating. Those are the three things that help you check to see if the goal is truly SMART. This is the part that that blew my mind, because hearing it said like this, let me say this again. Once the S and T are in place, then you can review the other three elements: relevant, attainable, and motivating, to check if the goal is truly SMART. Do you know what that means? This is what it meant to me. All I ever needed to do was write down the S and the T. That's all I ever needed. And then I just needed to follow up and make sure that it was relevant, attainable, and then measurable, motivating. You mean to tell me I wasted all that paper and all that time and all that brain power writing all of these things that I didn't need to? This was the light bulb for me. And maybe it's not for you, and that's okay. But this, for me, this is when it hit home, because this makes it so much easier. It's easier to explain. It's easier to decide if it's a SMART goal. I mean, literally, I remember in classes learning about SMART goals, and we would have to figure out, is this a SMART goal? And they would put something up on the board. Like, we had to do that stuff. But with this, you don't have to do that. Put out the specific goal, make sure it's trackable, and then you check the other three items. And if the other three items are there, then it's a SMART goal. And if they're not, you got to figure out how to put it there so it is a truly SMART goal. The article goes on to say that the leader has the responsibility for making sure that the goal is relevant by ensuring that the goal is important and that accomplishing the goal will make a difference in the organization. Absolutely, especially if this is a leader team member type of conversation in setting these goals, is the leader is responsible for making sure that that goal is relevant to the business. It's going to help that person accomplish something that will help the business. And then he says the leader and team member will work together to make sure the goal is attainable, right? Is it realistic and achievable? It has to be those two things. And when a goal is too difficult to accomplish, people may give up. And when it's too easy, people may procrastinate. So you have to work together to make sure that it's attainable. And that's a conversation that's simply, I think about recent conversations I've had with my team. And we'll go over, like, here's what I've asked you to do. Can you get this to me by this date? Is that attainable? And we had that discussion. And then maybe if it's kind of a little bit of a bigger thing, we may say, okay, well, let's break it down and let's have a checkpoint here for this, and then make that the final date. So working together with your leader in the work setting to make sure the goal is attainable is really, really key. And then ultimately, each team member is going to determine for themselves if the goal is motivating, right? By considering if it is exciting and meaningful, right? Will working toward this goal drain energy from their work experience, or will it add enjoyment? Will the goal help build competence, relationships, or autonomy, right? Is the goal going to get them up in the morning to come to work? Not every goal does that. I'm going to be honest. Sometimes the motivation is just, I need to get it done because I have to. I need to get it off my plate. And so sometimes that's the meaningful part of a goal when you get down to like some nitty gritty things. But having the conversations and knowing your part in setting the goal in the workplace is truly, truly important. So I got a couple examples I'm going to give you in a second, but we're going to cover this one more time for those of you who are maybe driving, washing dishes, anything like that. Where maybe you're not, you do like me when I do a podcast. I listen to podcasts when I'm, washing dishes and folding laundry and, walking around the house. Like, that's when I do it. I don't always have my pen and paper. So let me circle back around. So in a business setting, so at work, so leaders and teams, when you are setting goals, you want to first make sure they are specific and trackable. Once you have those, then you want to review the 3 other elements together to make sure that it's a truly SMART goal. And leaders, you're going to be the one that makes sure that goal is relevant for your team member. And then together with your team member, you're going to make sure that it's attainable, that it's not going to be too much or too little on their plate with everything else that they have going on. And then team members, it's your responsibility to make sure that it's motivating. And if it's not, you gotta speak up. Be like, well, give me a why. What's in it for me? What will make me motivated about this goal that I need to accomplish? So there's another article that came from the website KimBlanchardBooks.com. There's lots of Blanchard websites, by the way. I think it's kind of funny. I found multiples when I was doing this research. I'm going to start with the organizational goal first, and I'm going to work backwards when I give these from the article. This was written by, Ken. Hi, Ken. Thanks for writing the article. The organizational goal example that he gives is confirm that 90% of team members have completed new inventory management software training by the end of the 3rd quarter. Right, the goal is specific. Right, the company knows exactly what they need to do and when they want it. It's trackable. 90% of people will need to complete the training by the deadline of the 3rd quarter. It's relevant. It's important for the entire team to merge together on this new platform, which is more efficient than their current platform. Is it attainable? Well, a majority of the people have already completed it. right? So it's web-based, it's easily accessible. So yeah, it's attainable to get the rest of them, trained up. And is it motivating? Well, gosh, we're eager for better productivity, right? We're motivated to get the rest of the team trained because it helps with productivity. So this is a very easy goal. It feels like a very bland goal, but it's exactly what we need for like an organizational goal, right? Confirm that 90% of the team members have completed a new inventory management software training by the end of the third quarter. If you would have asked me 3 weeks ago, was this a SMART goal? I would have told you no. But today I'm telling you, it absolutely is. We're gonna back this down here. Let's talk about a career-related goal. And so this is another example from this article that Ken wrote. And it says, I will earn a promotion to senior customer service representative by completing the required training modules in 3 months and applying for the role at the end of the next quarter. So the goal is specific, right? The person knows exactly what they want and when they want it. It's trackable. They've got training that they need to complete in 3 months, and then they're going to apply for the job the following quarter. It's relevant, right? It's important to rise to a new level for them, right? It's going to make a difference in their income and their stature. It's attainable, right? The training will first provide the skills to qualify for them for their promotion. And then it's motivating. It's an exciting career move. It's a new challenge. It's higher pay. So yeah, this is absolutely a SMART goal, right? I will earn a promotion to senior customer service representative by completing the required training modules in 3 months and applying for the role at the end of the quarter. Like, that's super, super simple and super smart. Now let's talk about personal goals, because we've talked about this a lot in the aspect of leadership and development, that type of thing. And so in a personal goal, there is this is from an example from a book and that he wrote with someone. And so the goal mentioned somebody's name. So I'm just going to say their name. It should all make sense. Don't worry. So he says, now this goal is rather long, but it is SMART. The SMART goal here for a personal goal, right? In 1 year, through an effective eating plan and exercise program with guidance, support, and progress tracking from Tim, I will weigh less than 200 pounds. I will gain 1 inch in height through posture-specific exercises, reduce my neck circumference and chest circumference by 1 inch, reduce my waist measurement by 5 inches and my hip measurement by 4, and get rid of my fat pants. Oh my goodness. So this was a book. This was a goal that Ken actually had for himself. And I think it's great that he shared it. And he's right. It is a little bit long, but it's very specific and it's very trackable. And it's got those like kind of those milestones in there that can keep him motivated, can keep him focused on the attainability of the goal and the fact that it is very relevant to what he wants to do. He wants to be healthier. I love that. I really feel like I needed that. I need to write a goal that's specific. Goodness gracious. Okay. Now, right. So this is, back to like that light bulb moment, right? With the change to motivating from measurable, that light switch flipped, the electrical current went to the light bulb and it said, ding, you only have to write down specific and trackable. You just need to make sure that those words are relevant, attainable, and motivating to you. That's my light bulb moment. Absolutely. Wow. I mean, oh man. And, maybe I wasn't writing in all of the goal every time, but thinking of the goal in order of SMART, right? It can easily throw you off base. when you're trying to write it down. But when you move to that other method of STRAM or STRAM, you get to focus on the action, and then you're checking in to make sure that you're really meeting the second part. You could even think of it like a smart sandwich, right? Because you have specific and trackable are your buns, and so the meat in the middle, right? What makes that sandwich so good is the relevant, attainable, and motivating parts. So, how about that? I like that analogy. I like a good sandwich. So there you go. You can think about it one of two ways, but specific and trackable are the first two things that you need to think about, and then make sure that it is relevant, attainable, and motivating. If you have those three things in what you wrote down, then you have a SMART goal. Setting goals, bring this back together, right? Setting goals is important. But if you aren't taking that time to make sure you meet that criteria of SMART, you're not going to get very far. Make sure you're checking in regularly on your motivation, and you're checking in at those little checkpoints. Keep yourself motivated to attain that goal. Keep reflecting back and learning from the things that you've done. That's going to wrap it up for today's topic. Please make sure that you've signed up for the newsletter so you can get a copy of this episode. Well, you're listening. A copy of any episode that I put out delivered right to your inbox. If you go to thepolkadotdesk.com, there's a sign up box right on the main page. Bing! That is thepolkadotdesk.com. And make sure that you connect with me on LinkedIn or on Instagram. You can get there from the links in the description or from the website. What is that again? thepolkadotdesk.com. And I'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode to help you connect the dots and lead the way. And until then, remember that you are loved, you are worthy, and there are great things ahead for you in this life if you trust and believe in the Lord. Bye.